Good morning, world. It is a coconut day, it looks like. Look at that pile. It's like a mountain. Don't quite know what's going on here. Maybe someone's going to come pick it up in a truck. On to the next pile. It's always interesting watching life go on in the Philippines. We're going to be stuck at home today, so we thought we would do a Q&A. We asked a question on Instagram and we've been gathering them all up and we're going to get them answered for you. Alright, let's begin. We're going to try and keep the questions about moving to the Philippines so we're more on topic.
Yes.
Starting with the loyal Human 0210. Any plans staying in the capital of the Philippines after this COVID is over? That's Manila. Staying there? No. I like the fact that it's very, very convenient to live there. Lots of options for like a more Western lifestyle, but we're also loving the island life. So no, for me, I don't think I'll live there.
No, not living. We will visit for sure, but we won't live in Manila.
The next question is from Ginge0513. How's Irma? I missed her. My mum is fine. She's enjoying being back in her house. She just loves being home. She's happy. Next, from Stars in the Sky 13. When are you moving to your new house? Can you give us a house tour vlog?
Absolutely. We will do a house tour vlog, definitely.
In 2 weeks' time, we're moving there.
Yes.
We're not going to do it on the first day because there's some things that we want to put in the house to make it more homely.
Yeah, so once we're settled in and everything feels like home, we will definitely do a house tour. Alec Bautista, where do you want to go next after the pandemic?
I want to explore Mindanao actually because it's the next island on and we'll have a car and we'll be able to do like a road trip with Eden, hopefully,
Yes.
our dog, when she gets here, if she
Yeah.
gets here.
What thing have you found or experienced in the Philippines that you made the decision to come and live here? And that's from Jen.
First of all, the lockdown trapped us here
Yeah.
and we were a little bit scared and a little bit apprehensive of what was going on.
Yeah.
And then the people really made us feel at home, welcome, not scared anymore. And then just everything went from there. We loved it from the minute we arrived, right?
Yeah, exactly. We were already here on our what should have been 3-week holiday, and yeah, it just felt right to stay on.
I think you were saying from the minute we arrived in the country, I could live here. So when we were told you can't leave, we were like, oh well, let's stay for a bit, and then it just became home.
When will Jay learn to surf? And that's from April in Singapore.
I think there's quite a few good options here for learning to surf. There's a guy that we know, a friend of ours called Ryan, and he does surf workshops. And I think that would be the best way for me to learn something a bit more structured and not just like a kind of tourist fun thing, but more like 5 days, you can catch a wave by the end of it.
Yeah,
so
you do want to learn,
I want
don't
to learn,
you?
yeah. I think probably sometime this year or early next year.
Yeah. I think we both do. I've already actually had a surf lesson.
Yeah.
Video to come.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it would be lovely for us all to be able to surf. Myra Sales is asking, what are your expectations before moving up to the north of Siargao?
We had this conversation just last night actually.
We
Sasha
did,
said,
yeah.
I'm feeling a bit nervous about it. And so we had a little talk. I'm excited about it, specifically because it's going to be very different from what we know. And it's going to push us out of our comfort zone. And we both feel that that is the best way to grow.
Yeah. And I was nervous for no real reason. I think it's just there's a change coming and that we know it and we've got a countdown and we know the exact day that we're leaving. So it's just a kind of pre-move nerves, I guess, because we've kind of come into a comfort zone here and we're changing it up again. So just that kind of little
Jitters.
yeah, little apprehension.
We also think it's going to open up a whole world of opportunities though, so we're very excited about it.
Yeah, and one thing that we did say was that when we were in Thailand, we moved to Chiang Rai, we felt the same because it was very different to where we were currently living. And Chiang Rai turned out to be one of the best chapters of our time in Thailand, didn't it?
I always find if you do something different from what everyone else does when they come here, you get the best experience out of life.
CHGD Babes is asking, until when do you plan to stay in Siargao, and is Eden coming here to be with you too?
I think minimum 5 years. It has to be, and we are planning on getting Eden out here, so we wouldn't bring Eden out and then leave. And we feel like there's so much to discover here, so much variety on each island that we've got a lot to look forward to.
Yep, and specifically on Siargao, I think now that we are here and now that we have kind of started our Philippine journey here, it is where we would like to stay and base ourselves and then travel around from here.
Story's very happy here, she's making friends and, you know,
starting lessons,
Yeah.
and she's learning so much and she's really blossomed since we've been here. So I think it's really a nice place for a little girl to grow up. We don't want to take her away from that.
No.
Lauberston is saying, is your dad still in the Philippines? Because in your previous vlog you visited him in Manila. My dad isn't here at the moment, he's in England. He doesn't live in the Philippines permanently, although hopefully with some gentle persuasion he might come and be out here with us as well.
He should.
That is my hope that happens, because I think Dad would really love it. But he does have a house in Manila with his wife, and when they come to the Philippines, that's where they go.
We will definitely be travelling around the islands with him at some point in the next year, I think, as soon as travel opens up.
Yeah. Wade and Lerny are asking, do you want to learn to speak Tagalog over Siargao?
I spoke to a tutor already about this actually, and they said if you're basing yourself here, you should probably learn Bisaya first, because the other dialects that are going to be closer to where we're going to base ourselves come from Bisaya. Then I questioned how understood is Bisaya to people who speak Tagalog, and she said, well, it's normally the other way around. You should learn the mother tongue first. So it's a bit confusing. We're not sure whether we should learn to speak Tagalog and then move on to Bisaya or the other way around. But the local dialects will be easier to understand if we learn one of those two main ones. That's what we've been told.
Okay, E. Baluka, 1969. What happened to all your things in Portugal? And are you still paying rent there?
Yes.
Technically, yeah, we are. Our things have been packed up. We had some people staying in the house, and they very, very kindly boxed up pretty much all of our belongings. So that's been super helpful, and there is a man with a van who is going to go and collect all the stuff this week or next week and drive it back to England for us.
And then when it's in England, hopefully your dad and Luz can put it in buy-in boxes.
They're going to rebox it for us and send it out here,
and then it should go to the new house. The next question is from Layla, who asks, have you explored Siargao? Only when we did our visa run, we only went to the city. We haven't seen anything outside of that.
No.
We were there for like 4 hours, weren't we? So when we do our Mindanao road trip, we will explore much more.
Maria is her name. Was adjusting to the Philippine lifestyle difficult, and how do you cope with it?
No, actually.
No.
I found it was a lot easier to adjust to the lifestyle here than it was in Portugal. Mainly, I think, because of the language barrier being a lot less. It was a lot easier to make friends and to get things done. Even though things are done slowly, I felt like more in control of life. The lifestyle itself is very laid back, and we're quite laid back people, so we fit in nicely there already. So yeah, I think we just kind of slotted in.
From the first day that we arrived here, it just kind of clicked with us, and we've both and Story just felt really at home ever since we got here. So we haven't really had to cope with anything as such, because it's just kind of,
it's been organic. And don't forget, we lived in Thailand for 5 years, where we had the Asian experience but more difficult. Then we did Europe, which was still quite difficult, and now this is kind of like a blending of the two, so it felt right very soon and very early into our time here.
Leanne M is asking, what are the 3 biggest realizations that you've had about yourself now that you're living the island life? It's an interesting question.
It's quite deep. I think for me, I'm okay living with less. I'm okay not having all of my conveniences around me that I thought were important. And I am more able to adapt and change than I thought I was, because this was a big thing to do, to just decide to stay halfway through a pandemic lockdown.
I think for me, mine are very, very similar. I think I've definitely realised how much I don't need and how much I actually want. I have always really wanted to simplify life and to be more minimalist, and being locked down here without any of our stuff has really helped with that. So I think being here has really shown me what's important to me and what I can do without. The next question is from Abby Ojessa, and they say, what Filipino qualities / behaviours would you like Story to adopt? The very first thing that springs to my mind is kindness. The people here have been so kind to us, so welcoming, and it seems to just be a trait going through the Filipino communities that we've been in, and pretty much everybody that we've met has been so kind and so generous.
It's blown our minds, really. I've never experienced anything like it in my life to this level. And also sharing. Like, I think, you know, as people from England, we're kind of told to be, I don't know, like we're quite closed, aren't we? Sometimes we can be that way. Like sometimes you don't know your own neighbour who lives next door for years. And I think being able to share as a community is much more important here. And I'd like Story to grow up as that being her normal.
Yes.
The next question is from Claire Contessa. How do you acquire stable internet connection in Siargao? All the advice and tips, please.
All the advice.
Yeah, this can take forever, but I mean, basically, if you're very close to a cell tower, you're like 60% there. Then you just need to make sure that the internet box that you buy has got good antennas so it can get a good signal. And then you need to buy something that allows you to spread that signal through your house. So basically, get good equipment that allows you to capture the best signal, and then your internet will be more stable.
All right, Jella Bella, do you have any plans to let Story take surfing lessons and become a pro surfer one day? Absolutely, as soon as she's old enough. I think she's a little bit too young at the moment. Obviously she has to learn to swim first, so that's the first step, what we're doing now. And we've spoken to a couple of people, and they say the best age for learning how to surf is around 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So definitely, if we're still here by then,
yeah,
for sure, Story will do surfing lessons.
The first thing we said was swimming, skateboarding, and then surfing will come later.
Now, a few people have asked about Story's schooling on the island, and this one from EJ, Tammy and Simon. They say, do you prefer home, Montessori or a traditional school for Story? Now, a lot of you will know we are homeschooling Story, and we do plan to do that for the foreseeable future. On the island there is actually a Montessori preschool, which is closed at the moment because of COVID. Once that reopens, we would consider sending her there maybe one day a week to see how she likes it. We are definitely going to continue with the homeschooling and tutoring for her.
We know lots of families that are doing this very successfully, and their children are unbelievable. All the way up into the teenage years, they seem so switched on, and we want that for Story, and we've always said that ever since we met kids that have been homeschooled, so we want that for her. Even if we were in England right now, we wouldn't put Story in a traditional school. We feel like, you know, it's not for her and it's not right for us, especially now that there's more materials out there for homeschooling and it's becoming more accepted too.
Yeah, we are using the term homeschooling here because it's the more widely known term of how we are schooling Story, but generally we like to say we're world schooling her because she isn't just at home all the time learning. She's not sitting at a table doing work or school stuff. She is outside, she's in the world, and she's learning as she goes. And for Story, that is 100% the best way for her right now. When we try and do work with Story at a table and sit her down with a pen and pencil, sometimes she's really into it, and other times she will resist majorly and it just does not work. So if we bring it outside, she is so much happier, and that to us is how we know that we're doing the right decision for her, because we can teach her stuff outside in the world, looking for starfish on the beach and talking about what a starfish is and that kind of thing. That is how we are teaching her, and right now that is the best way, and it's been amazing.
And when her interests outgrow what we can provide for her, there are so many private tutors out there that can teach specialist subjects too.
Yes. Kissme_1017, what made you decide to stay and move here to the Philippines, knowing that the Philippines is the third world country?
I feel like the term third world country is too much of a generalization.
Yeah.
When you actually feel what it's like to be here, there are many ways in which the Philippines is more advanced than some of our Western ways.
Yes.
And we've said this many times.
Yeah, so maybe on paper and maybe in world statistics that people check to see where you rank in the world, Philippines may be classed as a third world country, but when you are actually here, we don't feel that. We don't feel like we are in a third world country because there are a lot of good things about being here that are a lot of the way that some things work actually work better than they do in the West, and where they do from where we're from in England.
We very much believe that if you take the best bits of the world when you travel and the things that you've learned from different countries and put it together into your own belief system, then you can create the best people. And Philippines has a lot of good factors. So yes, it might not work perfectly to fit it into the statistics that people know, but for us right now, it has a lot of good factors that make it a better place to live than a first world country, let's say.
Kenya is asking, what is the first thing you're going to buy for your new home?
Oh, we've already started. We bought like kitchen stuff so we can cook properly.
Yeah, the first thing we bought, which we haven't got yet, it's on the way, is a food processor so we can make our own peanut butter and our own hummus and pesto and things like that. And the other thing that we are hoping to buy is a juicer and mainly appliances like that.
Story is dead keen on this rug that she saw on the Zada that makes a little handprint when you put your hand on it, so we got that for her. It's just a silly thing, but just any little bits and pieces to make it feel like it's our home, because we are just renting. For me, I'm like the guy who sorts out all of the technology. I've bought power banks so we can deal with power cuts, because that's been a problem for our work, and a new antenna so we can get better internet where we go and stay. I've
just noticed Kenya's asked another question here. She says, my daughter Ala would also like to ask, what is Story's favourite place in Siargao so far? Story's actually having a nap at the moment, but I think I can speak for her when I say it's the swimming pool where she does her mermaid classes. It is so difficult to get her out of there after every lesson, even after 2.5 hours in the water. When it's time to leave, she is just like, just one more swim, just one more swim, I'm just going to do some more bubbles.
I think she's staying there for like 4.5, 5 hours. The next question, Ryan and Rowena of California, how expensive is it to live in the Philippines? It's actually not cheap here on the island of Siargao. We've mentioned this in a few vlogs. The price of vegetables is quite high because at the moment most of it was coming in from outside the island, but we think perhaps it will reduce now that a lot of people have started growing their own stuff because of the coronavirus, so that might be a positive. Rent is similar to what we were paying in Portugal. About, you can get somewhere decent for around 25,000 pesos, which is about 450 euros a month. But you got to search. You can't find this stuff online easily. You have to kind of know somebody that knows somebody. But there's lots of opportunity once you arrive boots on the ground. I think when we move into the new house and we're settled again, we will do a cost of living video where we can actually share utilities, rental costs and bills and things like that, because right now we're not actually getting any bills to us, so it's more difficult to share that information. So when we are settled in our place, we'll do something like that to share how much it actually does cost to live here on the island. Nikki Knock asks, name 3 things that are hard to find or access on Siargao that you'd like to have. Cars are really hard to find, cameras and computer stuff, really hard.
Chocolates, clothes, I'm trying to think of another C. Cafetières.
When we lost our French press or we broke it, we couldn't find that anywhere. We had to buy that from China. So those things, I don't know why they all ended up being C's.
I know, it's strange that, isn't it? You can buy clothes here, but for me it's difficult. And also Story clothes, there aren't really any children's clothes shops here. So that's been a little bit difficult. And chocolate has pretty much been non-existent. Obviously you can get chocolate bars and things like that in all the Sari stores, but I'm talking about the chocolate that we eat, which is dark chocolate, over 60 to 70% dark chocolate. When we first got here, we could find it. There was some in a couple of the shops, but it's just gone now, so that's been difficult. But I would just like to make a point that we don't focus on what we can't get and things like that. Quite often people go, oh, what do you miss, and things like that, and we don't miss anything, because it's one of the reasons to be somewhere different is the fact that it's different, and you have to be able to accept that you're not going to be able to find all your home comforts because you're not at home. So that's how we like to think about things.
I wouldn't leave the Philippines because I couldn't find chocolate bar. It's one of those things. The challenge is what makes life interesting, and it's what makes you grow.
We've got a couple here that are quite similar, so I'm going to say Carla Bell ST and Boba Mama are asking, what other places in the Philippines would you like to visit, and your top 3 islands. So it's a very similar question there.
Definitely Batanes, because it looks so different from the rest of the Philippines.
That is the top one for both of us, isn't it, I think. And I'd like to go to Palawan, just because you hear so much about it and I want to see what it's like.
It looks fantastic.
For myself, And
I'd like to go to Siargao as well.
You've heard quite a lot about that.
A few people have said it's good, and it's like a Siargao but different, so I'd be interested to see that.
And also I can't think of the name right now, but where the whale sharks are.
Is it Leyte?
No, it begins with B's, where the whale sharks are.
Yeah.
So we're trying to encourage Story to swim so that we can go there and see them. That would be so cool.
And imagine the video of like Story meeting a whale shark for the first time. It would be fantastic.
Wow. Victoria Hag and Select Decorators. How do you finance living in Asia and your travels, and do you have other jobs?
This is actually part of our frequently asked questions. So if you look down in the description below, you'll see all the links to the things that we do to make money. Basically, most of our income comes from YouTube adverts. You know, when you watch an advert all the way through, we get a portion of YouTube's ad revenue. So that has helped massively. Sometimes I do some video editing for clients outside of YouTube, but much more rarely these days.
Yep, and we also have an Etsy store where we sell jewellery at the moment.
Have a look in the description, you'll see what we do. I've just seen that Select Decorators was David.
Cecile Pejon asks, what do you like most about Siargao? I really love like that kind of tropical vibe when you're driving along and you see such stunning scenery. That's really lovely. I really like that.
It's like the typical paradise postcard views everywhere you go, and it's one of those places where it doesn't really matter where you look, you're always kind of looking at the sea.
Yeah.
Or you're within a couple of minutes of the sea.
Yeah. The warm water.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So you can always go in the water, whether it's night time or in the morning. The water is generally always warm. It's lovely.
I really like the surfer vibe and the lifestyle of the people here. I feel like it's different from other places that we've been to in Asia, but it's island wide. So everyone that we meet has like that kind of like, they're cooler than me. I enjoy it. I enjoy being around those kind of people. And I think it's going to rub off on Story and on us probably in the next few years. So let's end on this one. This is from Bevin on Earth. Will you miss Portugal? If so, what will you miss? So yes, we will definitely miss Portugal. There were many things that we never got to finish down there, but just because we don't live there anymore and we're deciding to base our life out here doesn't mean that we're going to stop travelling forever. We will end up going back to Portugal at some point to go and see all of the beauty of that country and other places in the world too.
Yeah, we will miss the people that we met there and the beautiful beaches, which are too different to compare to the beaches that are here, because they are wild and rugged and just stunning. And we will miss the Portuguese weather, because parts of Portugal during summertime you cannot ask to be anywhere better. The Portuguese summer is fantastic.
It's perfect.
Yes, but also it does get very cold there, and lots of the places that we live were very, very cold.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm not going to say I'm going to miss being cold, because I don't like being cold, but you know when you just fancy being cold for a little bit?
Yeah. A little refresher.
Yeah, but then come back to the heat again.
Yeah. We've got air conditioning for that.
Yeah, exactly. Like when we went to Siargao, Story was really excited to put a cardigan on.
Yeah. And then about half an hour in, it was like, it's too hot, get it off.
And actually she asked to wear socks some mornings because she wants to be cozy. So just things like that, you know, sitting in front of a log fire under a blanket with a hot chocolate, that kind of thing.
It's part of our existence there, wasn't it? We were always like cozied up by a fire, and it's romantic, and you do miss those things for brief periods of time. But then I'd want to come back to this.
Yeah, we're not missing it so much because we know that we will be going back there at some point, and it's going to be amazing.
That is it from us. I know that was a very long video and it had no story in it.
I know, actually, I can't believe she's still asleep actually.
That means she's going to be up all night.
Yeah, never mind. But we received so many responses on Instagram when I put the story up, and we did try to keep this video just about Philippines moving and things like that. So we are planning on doing another Q&A part 2 with some of the other questions that we got. So thank you for everybody that sent a question.
Yeah, we'll do that on a different day, and I don't think there's time to do shout outs today, I'm afraid, but we'll make up for that tomorrow. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.